everyone, and welcome to Simply Made Homestead. I'm Marian, and today I'm going to show you how to plan your garden plus seed starting.
Who wants a cookie? Who wants a cookie? If you want a cookie, come here, Thena, get yours. There you go. That's so sweet, babies. You want one more? I'll let you have one more just for you because I love you so much.
To start, I want to show you, this is something that I just started doing this past spring and summer, and I love it. It was recommended to me, and I just think it's a marvelous idea. We do strive towards an organic garden. We do use like a triple 10 occasionally, but as far as like killing our bugs and stuff like that, we always use organic sprays. So just to kind of give you a groundwork as to how we roll and what methods that we use in our garden. We do till occasionally. It's not something we do on a regular basis, and we do add a lot of amendment, and then we'll till just to kind of move it into the soil, or to cut new ground, which I don't think we're going to be doing that anytime soon. We've got a pretty good space plotted out there. We do practice rotational planting in the garden. And that is where this really comes in handy. And I first did it for that reason, and now I look back at it and I'm like, you know, this is so cool. I can look back and see what we did, how we did, what we had where, and you can make notes on how things did, and it's just a really cool thing. I am no artist, let me tell you. I don't even draw a good stick man, so forgive me for that. But to give you an idea, just a scratch piece of paper, you see it was used in the printer. We keep them for grandkids coloring and scribbling on. Scrap piece of paper, and I just very roughly sketched out my garden plot. And you'll see here I put the year, and somewhere on here I put spring and summer. This is what I planted in the garden. So that way I can look at this and I can tell what I planted where, because we plant and we think, oh, we can remember that, or at least I do, and I don't remember that. So some things I do, some things I don't. This is a really huge help, because right now it's time to start my tomatoes. So we are going to cover that as well, on how to start your seeds. So you can see here, like right here, now these little arches, those are our arches that are out there in the garden that you've seen in our garden tours. And over here, a lot of this stuff has played out. If you've seen any of our garden tours, you know a lot of this is all played out. We've got a few things still growing that we'll be harvesting soon. But right now, I've got to get ready for my tomatoes. That's my goal, my tomatoes and my peppers and my cauliflower and cabbage. Those are the first 4 things that I'll be planting. So I want a lot of tomatoes. This past spring, I only planted a few because tomatoes are really hard in Florida to grow. It's just the fact. The bug pressure, the humidity, all these factors, it's just a really hard thing to grow. We got a few slicers. I really want tomatoes to put up for tomato sauce and pizza sauce and all that good stuff. Man, if I could have enough to make ketchup, I'd be a happy girl. I don't know. You have to have goals, right? Okay, so this plot right over here, the zucchini and watermelon is gone. You don't want to plant nightshades behind nightshades, and peppers and tomatoes are both nightshades. So I know that I planted, by looking at this, I planted my tomatoes and my peppers all over here in this plot here, and I added some here. So I know I can't plant them over there. And right here I have sweet potatoes going right now. Right here I've got a cover crop in there where I had corn, which are big nitrogen loving plants. So we planted sun hemp as a cover crop, which replenishes the soil with nitrogen. So that's going to feed it back into the soil and get it ready for spring or for fall planting. And it's not quite ready to get out of there, but it won't be long. So, but right over here, this is bare. Now, my tomatoes and all that isn't ready yet. But the reason I want a bare spot for my tomatoes, since that's going to be my first things to plant, is because I want to amend the soil. Now, while this barely had anything in it for the spring, it was the first time this plot of land was ever used. We did not amend it. It was a quick, I'm like, honey, I want that tilled. I want to plant watermelons over there, you know. And so it was like life was busy, just didn't get to it. But now I really want to get the amendment in there. Our soil is not good. It's very sandy. We really need to get this all fluffed up. So once you pick your spot where you want to plant, we're planting nightshades, tomatoes, and peppers. These watermelons and zucchini are not part of the nightshade family, so I know that I can plant them there. Now, if you're wondering, well, what's a nightshade? What's a whatever? I will find a chart and I will link it at the bottom of this description, in the description box below this video, so you'll have it. I will find you one so you can go to it and you can see what vegetables fall into what family, okay? I'm gonna make it easy for you. So anyway, so we're gonna start, and we have started. We've started throwing compost out there. We've got more to go. We're gonna really fluff it up and get it just lightly tilled in there. Now, any kind of amendments you add to your soil, you want to do that at least 2 weeks before you're going to plant your vegetables, okay? Right here, this is what I did. This is our garden. I just drew it out. This is the border. And then I drew out each of the beds. You see, it's very rough. You ain't got to be good at this. I drew out each of the beds, even added my little archways, because we've got loofah on the first and we have field peas on the second, and all my little beds. And then I just wrote in there what I have. Now today, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to make another map just like that one. We're going to write fall and winter, because down here we can grow it all the time. So I'm going to write fall and winter, and I want to make allowances for that because I want a lot of spinach this year. I want a lot of, certain things. So that is how you can plan your garden. And you can get an idea of how much you can get in there. You can write out the size of your plot, so you know how much space you have. Like tomatoes, you need to plant them, like 24 inches apart. You want to plant your tomatoes. So anyway, so that way you know how many tomatoes you can get on there. So you'll know how many seeds or how many seedlings that you need to be able to fill that space. Now, always plant more than what you're gonna need, because your germination rate, there isn't 100% germination rate on anything. At least I've never seen it. So something's not gonna come up. So you need to make allowances for that so you have it. And if you have extra, you may have a hole somewhere in the garden, you can stick it, or you may have a friend or family member, which would be even better, put a smile on their face and be able to give them a tomato plant. If you got a bunch extra, go to the farmer's market and sell some plants and make a little money to get your seed money back. Now, if you do not have your plan together for what you want to plant this fall or this winter, you need to be sure and watch my video here on getting your fall planting plan together now. I go through everything in there. I tell you about how to find the garden calendar. There's a link in the description box on that video as well, that you can figure out what you need to do and how you need to plan for your next garden. So fall, winter, whenever you see this video, spring, summer, it will take you through and show you how to get started and how to prepare. One thing I am going to do over there in that little spot in my garden, tomatoes, and now because we are in Central Florida, it stays hot for a long time. That's why we can plant, all year long. But we do get some really cold spells too. So that's why we have a time limit that we need to get our tomatoes in the ground. And tomatoes like a little shade late in the afternoon. They like a little cover because they are sensitive, and we want to protect our tomatoes. Our peppers, now these things, they will literally burn. The sun will burn the skin on them if it's too hot and they don't have that little bit of shade. So if you're in really hot temps, this relates to you. Now, and if you're not in a really hot climate, you can do this just because it really brings in the pollinators, and they're really, really pretty to look at. With the way our bed is laid out, it is laid out north to south. So on the west side of our plot, on the first row there, I am going to plant a whole row of these sunflowers, because these sunflowers will grow up and they will block that harsh afternoon sun on the tomatoes and the peppers, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful looking at them from my little swing in the backyard. And it's going to protect my tomatoes and my peppers and keep them from getting burned from that late hot afternoon sun. So don't forget your sunflowers. All right, guys, so let's get moving forward and get these seeds started. I just washed this stuff out, and we're in here in the house because it's hot as a firecracker outside. So I've got this on the table, and just excuse all the moisture. But anyway, now these pots and these trays I get from Bootstrap Farmer, and they are just really sturdy. I really love them. I mean, see how one hand, typically the cheap ones you get, they like bend and all this kind of stuff. If you've got cheap ones, I mean, use what you have, but when you get ready to replace them, I highly recommend these trays and pots from the Bootstrap Farmer. And this, I believe, is a 3-inch pot, 2.5-inch pot. And but I'll put a link down to Bootstrap Farmer in the description box with the size of these pots, if you're interested in checking them out. Make sure you get seed starting potting mix. That's really important because it's light and it's fluffy, and it gives the seeds what they need to be able to break through that soil and to show themselves. You can't find it at the big box stores. I know Haas Tools, they carry a seed starting mix that is supposed to be just really, really good. I haven't actually tried it yet, so I can't say firsthand, but I do know they do carry it. So if you can't find it, they're a really good source to go to, because Haas Tools as a whole, I love them. Anything I've ever gotten from them, I've been very pleased with, never been disappointed. That's why I'm telling you about them, because even though I haven't tried it, I feel good about it. Scoop some dirt out of there, and I just filled up my little pot, got it right there, to the top, because when you water it and everything, it will go down into the pot. All right, now when you're planting your seeds, the dap will be twice the size of your seed, and you will see when you look at these tomato seeds, you see that? They are so teeny, teeny, tiny. So I am going to put like about 3 per pot. And with my tomato seeds, I just sprinkle them right on top, and then I just kind of push them down in there just a smidgen, just a tickle, and then brush a little dirt across the top. Just like that. Now, if you want, you can do just 1 seed, 1 or 2 seeds per pot, right there in the middle. Like lots of times the person will stick a hole in there and just throw a couple seeds in. I do that a lot with beans and things like that. But with this, I want to be able to just separate my tomatoes. It's a lot easier to separate them when they're spaced out a little bit. Is the reason I do it the way I do it. But you do have that option. Or you can just put 1 seed per pot. Some pots won't come up, but the one pot that does come up, you won't have to do anything else to it. This pot is big enough to carry it right through to time to plant it in the ground. So though I'm creating a little extra work for myself, but I'm okay with that. I wanted to hop back in here real quick. I'm still planting seeds, but I just wanted to hop back in here real quick and show you these little markers. These are plastic, and I will even reuse them. See, like this one, I wrote on, I used them before. I'll just put lines through that so don't confuse myself. And I'll mark it on the other side. So they're really good. They're super sturdy. They are reusable. If you plant the same things over and over, you can keep them and keep them separated and just reuse them over and over again. I just love these. I will link them in the description below for you. On the sunflower seeds, I just wanted to talk to you for just a minute about those. Now, while they are really easy to just stick in the ground outside, direct sow, right in the ground, I like to start them inside in the pot just because you don't have big honking grasshoppers like we have these killer grasshoppers down here that they're actually called Georgia thumpers. But anyway, I don't like them, can you tell? But I don't want like grasshoppers and things to come along and they just literally bite off the top of your little seedling. And that is just, I find that so annoying. So I'm going to start my sunflower seeds inside. And what I do when I do my sunflower seed, you see how big it is. So I'll take it and I'll put it right there. I'm just going to do one per pot. And I'm going to put it right there in the middle, and then I'll just push it down in there, and then I'll bring my soil over the top. Now, I didn't tell you this earlier when I was doing the tomatoes, and I do want to add this. When I do kind of pat it down, you know, because you want the seed needs to be able to be nice and snuggled, have the dirt snuggled around the seed. You don't want it pressed hard. You don't want it pressed hard at all. You just want it nicely patted down. So I'll just take a seed, put it right there in the middle, just poke it down a little bit. It's super soft soil. It goes right down in there. And then just pat it around, spread the dirt over the top of the seed, and just pat it around there. And that's all we do. All right, let me get finished up, and we really will go outside and get them watered. Now, everything has been planted. And I brought it outside, and we need to give it a really good watering. But you want to use a mist. Make sure you change your nozzle to the mist setting. And this one is kind of, I should have put a different nozzle on here. It's a little afflicted, but it's okay. But anyway, it takes, the first time you're moistening this dirt, it's going to take a little while to get it, because it takes a lot to get the soil wet. So you just need to be really patient and just slowly just keep moving back and forth and come around again and again. Now if you see water starting to puddle up in the bottom of your tray, then you need to stop, wait 30 minutes, see what happens, and if you still got water in the tray, you need to just try to drain it off a little bit if you can. But on this mist setting, you shouldn't get that. But you want to just really keep going back and forth, because our goal here is to keep the seeds moist. When the seeds are moist, they're able to, it softens them, and it allows them, between the moisture and the heat, it allows them to break through the shell and then up through the dirt and creates germination. So that's what we're going to do. Now, once you get the soil nice and moist, which it does take a little while the first time, so be patient and make sure you get it well through there. You don't want puddles in the tray, but once you're done that, we can go put it on a rack. Now, our goal is to keep our soil moist while the seeds are germinating. We want to keep the soil moist and to keep it in a nice warm spot. And I'm going to place mine on the back porch. I'll show you that in just a minute. I've got a silver rack there. There are no lights up on it or anything like that. Later on, once they sprout, if I feel like I need to add more light, I can hang some lights over them. But that's where we're going to put them from now, because when seeds are germinating, they don't need light. They are down in the soil. What they need is they need warmth and they need moisture. Once a day, about the same time every day, bring your seedlings out. If you have a greenhouse, you
very fortunate. You could spray them down out there. Make sure you use the mist setting on your nozzle, because, and the reason for that, if you use the shower or anything else, you could very well move the seeds around and mess them up where they're not going to be up underneath the soil to where they need to be. All right, guys, so now that our seedlings are nice and moist, I'm gonna take them over on the back porch, and I'm gonna show you where I'm gonna set them up, and we'll chat just a little bit more. Plus, it's starting to sprinkle out here, so let's get going. All right, guys, so here we are. They are on the rack. They're right here on the back porch. It's summertime in Central Florida, so even the lows at night, it's like 71, 72 degrees. 72 is our norm, so it will be a really good temperature out here to get all the warmth that it needs. And every day I'll come out and I will mist it. And always when you're germinating the seeds, mist it on the top. You don't want to water from the bottom because there are no roots yet. All of the moisture, the seeds are on top. They're close to the top. So that's why we're going to water on the top. It's because everything is on the top. Now, once we get our seedlings started up, then we're going to start watering from the bottom, because there's roots down there and they're going to be reaching for that water, and we can create really nice strong roots. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure and do that now and hit that notification bell so you won't miss a thing, because we will be coming back to you with another video on how to separate the seedlings and what you need to do next while you have your seedlings still in their little planters here. What we need to do, how we need to fertilize them to make them big and strong and ready for the garden. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate you more than you know. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure and leave them in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you, and share us with your friends and family and all along social media. That would be the absolute best thing that you could do to help us. So until next time, take care and God bless.